Knicks.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Tomorrow, February 1st, 2025, marks the 65th year that John Sterling has been a broadcaster. It's just absolutely stunning, a number that just blows you away. And the thing about John, and you'll hear in just a moment, I wasn't alive his first broadcast, February 1st, 1960, but I did work with him for 10 years. And all these years later, he sounds the same. 65 years later, he sounds the same. And I always tell him, I mean, it's a testament to God-given talent and it's just pure luck as well. But I wanted to celebrate with John, and we have him on the show right now. John, happy anniversary. How you doing?
Oh, I'm tired. Yeah, just listening to you. No, Michael's doing me a favor. I wanted to be on the air in my 65th year, and so tomorrow he's not on the air, so we're doing it today. So first of all, Michael, thank you very much.
Of course.
It's amazing, and it's something that you almost can't believe, and I can believe it because I was there. But it is mind-boggling when you think that I've been on the air 65 years. I'll tell you one great thing. I've been gainfully employed for 65 years. That's pretty good.
Now, what was the first gig? What were you doing on February 1st, 1960? Where was that?
A pretty good story in a way. It was a tiny daytime station up in a town called Wellsville, New York. They say 70, 80 miles south of Buffalo, something like that. And it was tiny. And the morning man would leave after his show. He'd been there since 5 o'clock in the morning or so. And then the general manager picked it up till noon. And then the general manager had to go out and sell the local merchants. There weren't any national spots. It was filled up, and it was filled up with local spots. And Michael, on my first day in the studio, now I had to run tape machines and the board and all that. And I'm not the most mechanical guy in the world, but I figured it out, and they left me. Do you know I was alone in the station all afternoon? But I always had the ability. I'm not crying about this. I always had the ability to open the mic and talk, just like you, which is why I wanted so much for you to get the job as my partner on the air, and it worked out great for 10 years, and then look what you've done with it, my goodness. So it was just an odd day that I was on the air all alone in a building. I was the only one. Isn't that amazing?
Now,
and if you're wondering, well, what happened when you
records?
did the news? Yes. Oh, no, very much so.
Uh-huh.
And spinning the music I wanted to play. And, people have heard this about doing the news called Rip and Read. And that's what I did. I'd run down outside of the studio, go down this hallway where the machine was, AP or UPI, I don't know which, and I'd rip off the 5 minutes and do that on the air. So that was the beginning. And you know what, Michael? I loved it. I loved being on the air, and I have loved it ever since.
Now, you've told me this before, John. That must have been such a thrilling day for you because you wanted to do that since you were a little boy, right?
Yes, absolutely. I've told this story before, probably too many times, but as a little boy at home, probably 8, 9, 10, something like that. It was before puberty. And the radio was on. And this guy with a great voice said, live from Hollywood, it's the Eddie Bracken Show. Da-da-da-da-da-da, with Eddie's special guest. Well, I didn't want to be Eddie Bracken, who really was a Hollywood star. I want to be the guy who said live from Hollywood, and look how it's worked out.
Did you want to eventually go into sports, or did you want to do the music?
Oh, no. I loved, from the first moment, I loved baseball, basketball, football, and hockey. I listened to every disc jockey show, every newscast, every sportscast. I mean, I was overwhelmed, and I'll tell you why it was a great thing for me. Now, Michael knows this because he knows me. Now, I was an awful student. I was a terrible student. And you know what? I never worried about it because I knew what I was going to do for a living. And that's pretty good when you're that young. And then when I became, when I went through puberty and became a teenager, there was no question that's what I was going to do.
Did your voice always sound like this, even at a young age?
Gee, I think so. When I was a little boy, I'd be at cocktail parties, and I'd be, serving drinks, carrying drinks around to people. And I remember people would say to me, when are you going to grow up to your voice? So I guess my voice was deep for a kid. And then when I was about 13 or 14, I was in a friend's home, and I was listening to a interview after a basketball game, and I said to this guy's mom, who was a beautiful woman too, I said to her, well, that guy sounds terrible. He sounds like a girl. And she said to me, oh, he doesn't have a great deep voice like yours. So I guess it was about the same.
Now, when you were growing up, was Mel Allen the guy you listened to a lot?
But I listened to everyone. I did listen to Mel, and I certainly listened to the Dodgers. I read every newspaper. But actually, the guy I really liked was the guy who did the Giants, a guy named Russ Hodges. He had a great voice, and he was kind of different or funny. And so I listened to them all. I listened to Marty Glickman, unbelievable. My goodness. And he was on all the time, whether on the Dodger pre- and post-game or all the basketball games. It sounded like he did a different game every night from a different place. So that was my childhood. I was all in preparation. I mean, I don't, as you know, Michael, I don't plan anything. It just happens. But it all happened for the right reason. And after all, that's what I became, a broadcaster. And tomorrow it would mark 65 years.
Now, here's the thing that fascinates you, because I do know you so well, and you don't plan, and you're not like a schmoozer or things like that. So how did 21-year-old John Sterling get that gig all the way upstate New York when you were living in New York City? How did that happen?
Well, I was going to my third. Michael knows all this. I was going to my third college, Columbia General Studies, and I saw in the booklet. I was registering for classes, and I saw in this booklet, oh my God, there's a class at WNBC given by the WNBC program director. I saw that and fell apart. And so I went to the registrar, and I said, I want to go into that class. And he said, well, it's really only for people who are going in the business. And I said, well, I'm going in the business. So he said, well, read this. And he gave me a pamphlet, very dry reading on a building program on the campus of Columbia. And I read it. And he said, well, you have a pretty good voice. I'll put you in the class. So it was the greatest class I ever had in my life. It was at WNBC in the old studios. It was great. And the teacher, the professor, was the then program director of WNBC, a guy named Steve White. Anyway, I'm telling you this nicely, and I hope people listening will accept it nicely. Mm-hmm. It's the truth, but it doesn't sound good coming from me. But in that class, I was Michael Jordan. I was LeBron. And at the end of the class, it was a one-semester class, 3 hours, one night. Boy, did I love that. And you know what this guy did? He gave me an A+. And trust me, that was the only A I ever got in my life. But he gave me an A+, and he said, you're good enough to go out. Well, how do you go out? Well, you make up a tape. He told me what to put on the tape. And eventually, I ran in Broadcasting Magazine to an agent who handled a lot of smaller places. And I called him, and he told me about this job. I sent a tape and got the job, and I've been working ever since.
Well, you sound terrific, and I was wondering about this as I was preparing for the show. And we're talking with John Sterling, as if I have to tell you that, you know the voice. This is the first time in forever, John, forever, I can't even put a number on it, that you're not preparing for a baseball season. How weird is that for you?
It's a little weird. But, Michael, I found out last year when I was out for a while, I'm a loner, and I have a great place here in New Jersey. The best place I ever had, and Michael knows all this. I have 4 wonderful kids. We see each other all the time, and I have a very good life here. And I may work. I might do 1 show a week if I can get it, or things like that. But for the most part, I'm going to spend my time listening to you broadcasting Yankee games. There.
Do you think that you'll miss I know the daily grind was getting you, but I also know that when you're in the booth, it's your natural habitat. Will you miss that?
Right. Yes. I've told this so many times. The games are the easiest thing I do. I'm sitting down in this comfortable chair in this broadcast booth. To my right is Susan, one of the greatest partners you could ever have. And the game just goes easily, just like with you. We don't have any production meetings. So, you just go on the air and do it. Yes, I will miss that. But the daily battle to get to the stadium, I've done that. And I don't plan ever on traveling. I love living here, and I'm going to live here. And, I'll get along just fine. Yes, I will miss it. No question.
So I know that you consume sports, like you devour it on a daily basis. You watch everything. Do you like what the Yankees have done during the offseason after losing Soto?
Yeah, very much so. You know what I figure, Michael? Soto did not want to be a Yankee because the ballpark was the best ballpark ever for Juan Soto. He never hit that many home runs, so right field is right there. And then left center is so big. It's big for his singles and doubles. And then there's the glamour of the Yankees, and he had the best protector in the world in Aaron Judge behind him. And he was offered $50 million a year for 15 years. Can you imagine? $50 million a year for all those years, and he didn't come. So he didn't want to be here. And I think they bettered themselves by getting the closer, Devin Williams, and the first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt, and the center fielder, Cody Bellinger. So I think they're a better team. Well, we'll find out, though.
Throwing Max Fried, too, so they make their rotation even better.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Yeah, I forgot his name. So they labeled a great starter to go with Cole, a center fielder so Judge can play right, and a guy, Cody Bellinger, might hit 30 home runs in that ballpark. And Devin Williams, a closer. Yeah, don't you think they've improved?
I do. I do think they've improved. And that's hard to say, losing a great player like Soto, but they pivoted and they actually look really good, I think. I think they're the best team in the American League, John.
I couldn't agree more.
Now, people that don't know this, I think they do. John, used to do the Atlanta Hawks, did the New York Nets, and then the New Jersey Nets. And John used to play basketball all the time until his knee said, okay, that's enough. What do you think of this Knicks team that you're watching right now?
I think they have a great offensive team, and the only thing that could derail them, I love their starters. Okay, the only thing that could derail them is if they hadn't. Don't forget, they haven't had an injury, and you look around the league, the big players almost never play. I mean, every other night someone's out. So I think they could handle an injury unless it was Brunson. I am the greatest Jalen Brunson fan in the world. I think he's fabulous. Doesn't it amaze you? He gets his shot off all the time.
Yep.
He's so small, and he has so many fakes and moves, and I think he is a totally phenomenal player who carries the Knicks So if he doesn't get hurt, I think they're going to have a great run in the playoffs.
All right, so tomorrow is a big day. Are you going to have a little glass of brandy, something like that, to celebrate 65 years, John?
I'll do something. You have to admit it. It's phenomenal that you could be on the air. You could be doing anything for 65 years. So I wanted to come on your show just so I could say, well, I was on the air in my 65th year. And so I thank you. You know, you're my buddy and I love you. So anyway, thank you.
Oh, anytime you want to come on, I love it. I love talking with you, and we talk on the phone anyway. We might as well put it on the air. But congratulations, unbelievable milestone, and you know I love you, and I will see you soon. See you very soon.
Okay, probably Saturday.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Michael, be well, and great luck on your new show. Although it can't be better than your old show, which lasted like 20 years. So congratulations, keep it up, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, John. Thank you. That is the great John Sterling. I got to tell you a quick story before we break. So John called me like two weeks ago. He said, I want to be on your show on February 1st. And I said, you can't. And he goes, why? Why wouldn't you put me on? I said, I would put you on anytime you want to be on, but I don't have a show on February 1st. He goes, well, what do you mean? It's a Friday. Why wouldn't you have a show? I said, no. February 1st is a Saturday this year. Oh, no, I'm sure it's a Friday. I said, John, one thing I'm sure of is my birthday is February 2nd, and it's a Sunday. That I know for certain. So if my birthday's on a Sunday, then February 1st, ergo, must be on a Saturday. And he's arguing for a while, and they go, you know, you're right, my boy. He said, so how about January 31st? I said, let's do it. So it was great to hear him. He sounds tremendous, and I know he is happy, and he loves his 4 children, and he does love where he lives, and he loves sports. So he will continue to consume it, and I know he wants to be on the air. He wants to do a show. He wants to do a show like once a week just to keep his mind active and his voice all ready to go. So so great to talk with him, and happy anniversary, 65 years.